and welcome to ACS Golf. And today's review has been released on a Friday, which can only mean one thing: it is a brand new club for 2024, and it is this, the Mizuno ST Max 230. Now, if you know anything about Mizuno and their range of drivers, they've basically had the 230 now for 2 years, so I'm guessing they're probably going to replace them next year. I don't know if they replace the Max, but definitely the STZ 230, which they released in 2023, will be replaced, and also the STX 230, which are again they're replacing 2023. I can imagine that will be replaced as well. However, the ST Max here, I can imagine will go on for another year because they tend to do their drivers every 2 years. Sorry. And as I mentioned, this was released in 2024. Well, back in the 23 into 2024, and also I can imagine the STG 440 will also be going into 2025 as well, which is an amazing club. Well, best feeling club ever, I swear. Which I did a review on actually a couple of months ago, so do check out the channel for that. Now, the reason I picked this up is because I love Mizuno. I think their drivers are great, and I really wanted to get my hands on one of the sort of I don't know why I'm going air marks there, but anyway, ultra forgiving drivers for 2024. Obviously, you have the Ping, G430 Max 10K. You have the QI10 Max, which is also, their 10K driver. And then you had this with the ST Max 230. Now, Mizuno didn't actually say what the MOI of this club, only that it's really, really high, and it sort of falls in the category of those other two ultra forgiving drivers. So, as I mentioned, I love Mizuno. I wanted to pick this up and try it for the channel. So, as always, what we're going to do is we're going to have a closer look at this club. You can see the size of it there. It's the joy of these big, big forgiving drivers. Still only 460cc though. Remember, that is a max you're allowed for a driver in modern day rules. So yeah, we're going to have a closer look at this club, come back here, go for all the technology that's in it. Then we're going to get down to the range, going to throw some figures at you, and then come back here for the ACS Golf Scale. My overall thoughts about this driver. Just before I go into the review, what I'm hoping from this is maximum forgiveness. Not too worried about the distance. I'm not expecting this to be a long driver. The STZ version of this and also the STG version, that's the long drivers. That's the better player drivers. I'm just expecting this to be really, really forgiving. Still feel really nice, which you get from a lot of Mizuno drivers. And, when it comes down to distance, be respectable, because you don't want to have the ultimate forgiving driver that goes nowhere. I don't need it to be the longest, but I need it to have some decent distance in there. So that's what I'm hoping for. So let's crack on with this review and find out if I do get that at the end of this video. All right, let's have a closer look at this club. So there you go, and it is a good looking driver. Very classy looks from Mizuno. They've been doing the same thing for years now. I think from the original Mizuno XTX, I want to say 2021, I think, when it fully went this sort of look with the carbon shell on the top there. Really classy look. Maybe the ST190, perhaps? I think when they changed from the blue, they've been very similar with that bird there as the alignment. Really classy looking driver. I like the look of the blue on the bottom as well. Personally, for me, I'd love it if they bring the blue back. I know you can get limited edition versions of it, but if it's just all blue, I'd love that. I know a lot of you guys probably watching won't love that, but I really, really would. And I do know they released an STZ white version. Again, would love that. You should love the old TaylorMades with white, white shell on the top. It would look really, really cool. But anyway, that's just my preference. Big shout out to head cover. Really cool head cover. Like the colouring on that. It'd be great if you had that sort of colouring exactly on this. But anyway, that's just me being a bit brash there when it comes down to colouring. One thing I will say about white head covers, they do get dirty pretty quickly, which is quite an annoyance, but never mind. Now let's get into the technology. As I said, it is a good looking club, and let's get into it. So ST Max 230 driver. So max MOI, max stability. A low profile wild wide footprint driver that looks noticeably larger than its measured 460cc, and I agree with that. It does, and a lot of them do. They stretch them out to really maximize that MOI by shifting the weight so far back in the club head. An expanded cortex chamber, there you go, and 54 grams of back weighting. 54 grams, that's a chunky amount of weight. Then you can see it there as well, combined to create Mizuno's most stable driver ever, with an exceptional straight line performance across its wide, inviting club face. The ST Max 230 driver unveils two new engineering enhancements to ensure that stability is backed with impressive ball speed: a next generation Cortex chamber and new Bet-rich LFS tie club face. So there you go, forged tie LFS club face. There you go, forged face. Gives Mizuno some really good feeling when it definitely comes down to their woods. I do think their woods, definitely the latest woods, feel gorgeous. I mean, I'm currently playing the ST Max actually fairway wood, which I love, and that's beautiful off the face. It really does. Be interested to see if this feels the same. So moving on, so the Cortex chamber, so through slot provides additional core area by providing a sole flex. So the goal of the ST Max was to engineer the greatest MOI, and this is from their head honcho, performance from off-center strikes conceivable, but not sacrificing ball speed or make the profile too cumbersome to look at. So going into this, a new better rich TI LFS, a new lighter, faster face material measuring 9% higher in tensile strength compared to the SAT 2041 for a complex multi-thickness face geometry, first introduced on Mizuno's 2024 Tour driver, the STG 440cc. So new face, not in the original STZ or the STX 230, but yeah, I mean, I reviewed the STG 440 and it was lovely. Just personally, just didn't have the swing speed for it because that was a beautiful driver and no forgiveness. Be aware of that, no forgiveness at all, pretty much. But it was an amazing driver. Max stability, so wide profile, massive 54-gram weight, as I said at the back, and a 40% larger graphite composite, for extra twist resistance to off-center hits and a straight, predictable ball flight. So there you go. Quick switch hosel, so 4 degrees of adjustability. So there it all is. Also, as well, they've increased the length of the shaft, so longer 45.75-inch shaft for faster club head speeds. Originally with majority Mizunos, I don't know if you'd ever know this, they were actually half an inch shorter than sort of your standard 45.75 there. Normally they came in at 45.25. The idea, a little bit more control over sort of, that greater ball speed, because you're not swinging the club as fast because it's a little bit shorter. However, in this club, they've actually gone back up there with the idea that this is so stable that, yeah, you can swing the ball, swing that club faster, and, it doesn't really matter because it's going to perform really, really well, which is quite a good thing. It means, they're the same length as all the other clubs now. Majority are now 45, you know, inches and 3/4 long. Obviously, a lot of people might get them shorter for more control. I know most tall players, if you look into them, actually have it. I think it's hard, maybe even an inch shorter than your average player, just because it gives them more control, more stability. But with these, they feel they can get the stability still with that longer shaft, which is quite an interesting thing from Mizuno because they've been doing that for years now and they've changed it. So going into the specifications, there we go, got it out. You get this in 3 different heads, not 4, 3 different heads. So this is the 9.5 head there. You could loft this up to 11.5 degrees or loft it all the way down to 7.5 degrees. Lie range as well, 59 degrees up to 62 degrees, so you can close that face more if you're suffering with a slice. Obviously 460cc, and the length, as I mentioned, is 45.75 inches. The 10.5 again can loft it up by 2, loft it down by 2, again, and then the 12 degree one is again, loft it up by 2, loft it down by 2. So there you go. You can only get left hand on the 9.5 degree one though. You can't get it on the 10.5 degree one and the 12 degree one. That's only right hand only. So I think it's a little bit weird, to be fair. I would have thought maybe, they would have done the 10.5 one as well. with the idea you could loft it up to 12 if you wanted to do that in your left hand, but for some reason they've only stuck with a 9.5. Guess we'll have to chat to Mizuno to find out why they've done that. But anyway, there's all the technology that's in this club. Now, let's get down to the range. I'm struggling to get my words out today. Let's get down to the range. I'm going to throw some figures at you, and then we're going to come back here for the ACS golf scale. All right, see you in a bit. Here I'm down at the range. Now, remember, for me with the driver, I'm sort of looking on average around that 250 total mark for distance. Really, if it's a longer driver, around that 260 mark. Now, with this club, I had a carry on average of 221 yards, total distance 253 yards, ball speed 146 miles per hour, launch angle 15, height 63 yards, and only a swing speed of 95.4 miles per hour. That's really down to this regular shaft that I've got in the club. Just didn't really have the confidence to really go for it. When I did actually sort of bite my tongue and go for it and got out of the middle, I managed to get a carry of 231 yards, distance of 262 yards, and ball speed 147 miles per hour. So happy with that, and one thing I'll say about this club is it was very consistent, with the distances. The shortest I had was 248 yards, and that was a horrible hit. Ball speed had dropped down as well, but it still got to the distance, and that's one thing I'll say about it. It just shows you that this club is built for maximum forgiveness. I'm not going to swing it the fastest I can because, it is a big club head, with the shaft as well. But as for forgiveness, this thing will be hard to beat. So what can I say? Here's the results on the table. So generally really happy with the performance of this. To have a ball speed of 146 on average and a total distance still 253 with a carry of 221. Really happy with that, because I was only swinging 95.4 miles per hour. I just wasn't happy with that regular shaft. To still get those numbers just shows you how forgiving this club is, and just really shows that, if you really dial this in, you'll get some decent numbers. Don't get me wrong, I don't think you're going to get up to the longest clubs in the world, but you're definitely going to have some really good solid numbers with this club. So generally very happy with it. So there you go. Some okay figures. I mean, on the day I was actually testing the TSI 3. Well, I was averaging there 260 plus yards. So with this, to be averaging 253 yards, probably not the end of the world, to be fair. It's probably what I would expect compared to, a driver built for distance, not necessarily forgiveness. One thing I will add is I'm not a fan of these shafts, really not. So the UST shafts, the Ling models, this is actually regular as well. I'm normally stiff, but anyway, I had one of these in my Cobra, and I changed the moment I changed it from this to a Ventus. My Cobra is amazing. So not a huge fan of these, so do be aware because these are the stock ones from Mizuno. So maybe get yourself tested if you've never tried these before. I think they're stock for Cobra as well. So they're very popular shaft. Just don't work for me. But anyway, still got some decent results from it. Average carry of 221 yards, happy with that. Average, total distance 253 yards, happy with that. Ball speed was down 146 miles per hour. Not the end of the world. To be fair, actually, to get that sort of results for me with that ball speed, pretty happy with, to be fair. Normally I'm looking around the 150 mark. Launch angle 15 degrees, great. Helps you get the ball in the air, exactly what they want. Height 63 feet, maybe one a little bit higher, but a lot of my shots were quite, drawy shots. I think because the club facing, they say it's open and quite close, because I did have this lofted up to my normal sort of degrees that I do, 11.5 degrees. I play with a 12-degree head. So yeah, probably just closed the club face a little bit more for me, and probably ended up with those drawy shots. I wouldn't get in the height that I'd necessarily expect from this club, so it's probably just down to me and the setting. If I put it down to 9.5, I'm sure it would have come out and probably got a little bit higher. Interestingly as well, I was actually swinging quite slow with it. So normally I average 98 miles per hour. I was only doing 95.4 on average with this. I think it's down to the fact I didn't really trust this shaft. And also, it is a bigger head. You look down at it, and because it's such a big head, you do sort of get in your mind going, I'm going to really struggle to get the pace with this club because it is so big. I found that I did do that, to be fair. But overall, though, really good results, let's be honest. And, to have that ball speed and that distance, really, really happy with that. Shortest on the day as well was 248 yards, ball speed 140 miles per hour. So it was getting the ball going even with, slower ball speed. So, really, really happy with that. Now let's get into the ACS golf scale. So remember, we got distance, looks, price, forgiveness, and feel. I forgot the fifth one then. Feel. 5 being the best, 1 being the worst. Straight into distance. With those figures, I'm giving it 3 out of 5. Exactly what I expected it to be fair, and I wanted it to be. This isn't a distance monster. You know, if you want to go down the Mizuno route for distance, you go the STZ or you go for the, the STG 440. This isn't built for that. And it's the same with most really ultra forgiving drivers. They tend to spin a little bit too high, especially for the faster swing speed players. But the guys who'll probably be looking at these are the slower swing speed players, and they'll probably spin just right for you. It's the same with the QI 10 Max. I had the same issue there. I didn't actually test that, but reading all the reviews, that actually span too high. The only one that really managed to nail it with low spin was actually the Ping, the G430 10K. It's G430 Max 10K, I believe. That actually kept the spin rates really low. So you see a lot of fast swing players actually playing that. Peter Finch, for example, massive YouTuber, PGA professional, he plays for that 10K model, ultra forgiving, but because it's that little bit low spin, he can get some really good numbers out of it. Well, if you put this in his hand with the swing speed he's got, it's probably, well, it is going to spin up too much for him and he's going to lose distance. But overall, 3 out of 5, I think exactly what it said, decent distance. And that's what I wanted from it. I wanted decent distance, and that's what I got. So, yeah, 3 out of 5, happy with that. Feel, 4 out of 5. It felt really nice, quite punchy off the face, dull noise as well. Love the sound of Mizuno drivers, by the way. Um, hasn't necessarily felt as nice as some of their previous models. I used to play the Mizuno, the original like Mizuno STX, so not the STX, ST200. Oh no, Mizuno ST200X. I played the original like STX, was the model after that, and I loved the feel of that. That thing was amazing. I actually really never should have got that out of the bag, to be fair. Um, at the time, now I'm happy with my dark speed, but that felt gorgeous. This, the new face, and maybe all the weighting at the back didn't feel as nice, but still felt really nice. I definitely think Mizuno is still up there for me with sort of the best feelings or woods out there. So yeah, so 4 out of 5 for that. Looks, 4.5 out of 5. I think Mizuno have nailed the looks for years. They really have. The only reason it's not 5 out of 5 is because it's just massive. It is a big, big club there, and I personally prefer a lot more compact looking driver. However, it's not necessarily bigger than the other ones. I think the Ping actually goes a little bit further back. But for me, gorgeous looking club, just a little bit too big of a profile. Definitely when I'm looking down on the top of it. So that's why it's lost a 0.5 there. We'll go on to price next. We'll leave forgiveness till last because that's the sort of the main party piece of this driver. So remember, when it comes down to price and new clubs, I always tend to look at new values of it. I don't look at the old, secondhand market. I tend to look at, if you went to a shop right now and got fitted for it, this is the price you get. And they're starting to have sales on this club, which is great because I don't think they're going to replace it next year. So I'm surprised you are getting sales on this. I don't think they will. I think they're going to change the STX and the STX, yeah, and the STZ. I don't think they're going to change this. So I'm really surprised. But anyway, in the UK, you can pick up for around £399. It's the cheapest I've seen it. Majority of them about £449. Not that bad. A little bit less than the QI10 and a lot less than the Ping. In the US at the moment, you can pick it up for $300. Normally, just under $500, you can pick it up for $300 in the US. That's an absolute bargain compared to the other two models that this is sort of competing against. So overall, I've given it a 3.5 out of 5, to be fair. The thing is with this as well, even on the second-hand market, because I have a little look in the second-hand market, you get these quite cheap, like £270 in the UK, is around $330. They do go a little bit cheaper than the QI10, then the Ping, because a lot of people don't think of Mizuno. So do be aware of that. For any Mizuno driver, to be fair, do check out the second-hand market for them. But yeah, 3.5 out of 5. Definitely a price drop over the other competitors, but yeah, I'm going to change it to a 4. gone through all this video. I'm going to write it down. I'm changing it to a 4. I think it's a great price. For a maximum forgiving driver, it's probably one of the cheapest out there, and it is a great price. So yeah, 4 out of 5. I think if you're going brand new and you want ultimate forgiveness, it is a good price at the moment. Definitely in the US. In the UK, hopefully the price will drop to match the US soon, and then it will be an absolute bargain. So there you go. Now on to forgiveness. You will not be surprised by this. 5 out of 5. I did not hit this well at all. I really didn't. I think I only hit like maybe, I think I took a photo of this earlier, like maybe 1 or 2 out the middle, just because I really don't like this shaft, and I felt quite difficult swinging it because it's just, I wasn't confident in the shaft. So I didn't hit it well at all, and I still got decent numbers in it. So I definitely think the forgiveness of this is really good. When I did hit out the middle, there wasn't a huge jump up, so it wasn't like, oh my god, you know, you know, the forgiveness is not that good, because obviously if I'm hitting everywhere else in the face and suddenly hit out the middle and it's 20 yards longer, then you go, right, the forgiveness isn't that great. But the forgiveness was good because there wasn't a huge jump up when I did finally get it out the middle. Apart from that one where I actually went for it and just got over my fear of the shaft and did get up to 260 yards. I think it was, yeah, 262 yards. The rest of the time, it was all very consistent across the face. When I did hit the middle, I didn't notice a huge jump up, which just shows you how good the forgiveness is in this driver. So 5 out of 5. They haven't released how much the MOI is of this, unlike, TaylorMade, unlike your pings, but it's got to be close to 10k, if not over 10k. It really has. With that massive weight at the back and the shape of the club, it's got to be up there. So yeah, 5 out of 5 forgiveness. So there you go. There's my review of the Mizuno ST Max 2030. Sun's about to set in the UK. Got to put my main light on, so I'm going to wrap this up quick before the room becomes extremely dark. Overall thoughts, it's a great driver. It's forgiving. It feels great. It looks good. However, I would suggest this for the slower swing speed players out there. I wouldn't suggest this for you guys who can swing really, really fast, because I think you'll just spin up too much. And personally, for me, if I was going to go for a club like this, I would probably go for the 2030 STX. So their draw bias one, I don't necessarily need the draw bias at all, but for that, it will spin a bit less and still have really good forgiveness. So I'd probably go for a different model. And if you went for the STX model in the UK at the moment, you can pick that up for £300. So it is cheaper. So personally, for me, great driver, ultimate forgiving driver, but I'd want a little bit more distance, still with a lot of forgiveness. I'd go for the STX personally. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, do remember to give it a like. Remember to hit that subscription button to not miss out on any reviews or any videos that are coming up. And do comment down below, do you play Mizuno drivers? If you do, let me know how you get on with them. Do you enjoy them? And there you go. End of the video. About to get pitch black. I'll see you soon for the next ACS golf review. See you then. Bye-bye.